Just had to get a picture of that beautiful blue sky. So we're here again. Oh god, goodness, I don't even know what the date is today. The 22nd. And I'm just trying to get another day of data to confirm how much movement I get at this location. So my marks from yesterday are still here. You can see this one here, and I'll make sure there are no cars coming, but another one here, and I think you can see these clearly. I'll be using a pink chalk today. So I just did a test mark there, but maybe I'll make them crosses. But getting ready here in a few minutes. The shadow's gonna hit the road, and we'll be able to answer some questions. I wanted to correct something I said the other day. It might have been the first day I was here recording data, the day I tied the twine to the fence, but I was looking at the shadow on the ground of this tower, and I said it's interesting how I can, from a distance, I can see the shadow on the ground, and it was interesting how it was like far away from the mark or whatnot, and I thought that was because of the fuzziness, and you're losing that much movement, or because of the fuzziness of the shadow or whatnot, but I forgot that my marks are actually based off of an antenna with some kind of box at the top. So there's like something that sticks out above this tower, and that's what I was getting my marks off. So the shadow I was seeing on the ground was the shadow of the tower, and not of the, I'm sure you cannot actually see the shadow of the antenna. So I think we're getting ready on the road here, so I'm going to start collecting, but I just wanted to correct myself the other day. It's not that much of a difference. It is a difference, but it's not like a foot or 2 feet that you lose. Alright. Sun held out, and I was able to get a whole bunch of marks today, and my marks from yesterday were still here, and yesterday I think I only got from half of the road on, but there are the green marks, and today are the red crosses. And so if we walk this line and look, if you remember, I kept talking about how it looked like it was hitting the intersection of this line, so that's an important point of comparison. Here's a mark, green mark, red mark, red mark, red mark, red mark, red mark. Truck is coming. I'm going to have to come back out to let you see. But you can see how the difference between these two is roughly, I'd say 3 or 4 inches. And it's interesting. I guess it almost, yeah. Okay, so from so what this was the green marks were theoretically the day after the solstice. The majority, I mean, it seems Squirrelly Nations thought the solstice was on the 20th U.S. time, and in Spain and Australia they were saying they thought it was the 21st their time. And so I'll explain how that all works in the summary video, and I'll put it on a map, but I think that's those are consistent times, so stay tuned for that summary. But to explain what's potentially happened here, I can say with certainty the solstice is over at this point. Like, it's definitely progressing the other way. The question is, when did it happen? And I personally missed a day of data for the actual solstice event, if it did in fact in theory happen on the 20th U.S. time, but I did get marks on the day before and the day after, and these green marks are the day after, yesterday. The red marks are today. The twine I marked here on the fence was the day before the theoretical solstice, and I dropped a plumb line and came straight down. I threw this piece of bark on the ground right here, there, and you know, so my question was, is it possible that, you know, I miss a solstice event, so is it possible the day these green marks are pretty much in line with the twine, the day before the solstice. So the question was, well, is it possible it progressed this way and then the solstice happened and it came back and landed right on the marks the day before the solstice, which would make sense for returning, and then it would continue to progress that much the next day. So I wanted to see today how much the movement was between 2 days of data, and it does look like it's substantial enough to say that couldn't have happened, I don't think, between the green marks and that twine mark. Like, it looks like they're right on top of each other and there's no room to kind of go this way or that way. So I mean, it does seem to suggest that we had one more day that went this way and then it went that way. But that's all I can say for now. I am going to be putting out a summary video explaining everything of everyone's results, the dates they believe they cited it, and you can come to your own conclusions. I'll try and give a little critical analysis, you know, in humility and love, but based off of experience. And if you collected data, I ask you to send me an email, kind of one final email letting me know things that you learned and things you would recommend, and kind of your own quick analysis of your own data. And like I'll mention, I mean, I learned a lot. I'll tell you, I learned a lot. I always learn every single time I do this. But with the tall sundials, one of the main things I'm learning with this little bit of data that is slightly, it's disappointing. I don't like that it was this close. Like, the whole point of me doing bigger sundials was because I wanted something that was very obvious. And this is pretty obvious, but it's still closer than I thought. And if you saw in this series, I think part 2 and 3, or 3 and 4 maybe, I collected 2 days of data at a different spot. And I got like a foot of movement from one day to the next. And unfortunately I was clouded out for the time of day that the sun and the shadow crossed that location this past week, so I had to resort to this road. And the interesting things I've learned about this road are there are 3 main differences. One, I'm no longer in a dip. I'll show you that once the car gets out of the way here. But 2, here we go, I'll show you right now actually. So I was, oh, you can't see it, but you can see how low the road is over there. So the road I was on shoots down a pretty steep hill, and it's a nice dip. So I lost 50 feet of elevation, I'm estimating, in my tower height. So for the equation of taller sundial means more movement, I lost 50% of the height of my, well, 50 feet. So maybe like half, 50% of what the height of my sundial was. Other thing was the slope, and I'll have to show you that. I'll have to show you that in the summary video I'm going to show up. But the slope is important too, a little bit. But I was on a sloped road over there, so I had, as the movement, if you record on a horizontal surface, you get whatever you see the gap is over there. But if it's on a slope, you'll have more movement. I'll show that in the summary video. The last thing that I kind of realized the other day was I recorded those other points on the lower road over there in the morning. And the thing I realized is, in order for, if you theoretically start with your data collection and you have a straight line on the equinox or near the equinox event, by the solstice event you're going to have these curved lines, and I'll show this in the summary video. You're going to have this arc, and on the ends of the arc, you know, it's going to be most pronounced, and then it's going to swing in, and that point where it swings in around solar noon is going to be the closest point to your line that you recorded for your spring equinox event. And then you go the other way and you'll get your other arc and your other solstice event here. But right from solar noon to solar noon to solar noon is the smallest amount of movement that the sun will do. But in the morning or evening, it curves like this, and then it's straight, and then it curves like this over the course of the year. So instead of getting point from solar noon to solar noon to solar noon, That's the shortest distance. If you wait for the morning, you're going to get from way out here to way out here because of the arc, I think. So I lost all three of those things when I came up here, but I kind of had no choice because of the cloud. But we're learning, and you know, we'll just have to keep at this. There are going to be some interesting questions to ponder about this, but I'll discuss that more in the summary video I come up with. So stay tuned for that, and shalom, and may Abba bless you as you continually seek out His truth in love with a pure heart. So in case I forgot to mention in my other two videos, or whatever, this past video, I think this will be the end of data collection for me, but I'm going to be waiting for Spain and Australia to get back to me, and they might need 1 or 2 extra days just to kind of confirm for themselves that the sun is actually moving back. I think they do think the sun's moving back. I'm just a day later because I wanted to do an extra step of confirmation. So stay tuned, maybe in a day or two, or depending on how long it takes to put everyone's data together, I will put out a summary video so you can kind of analyze the data and come to your own conclusions. And I know my daughter will be excited to have her chalk back.